These are the plaintiffs, Nicholas and Jerry Sowers. Nicholas says he rented a store in the defendant's gas station, and as hard as he tried, he couldn't make a success of the convenience store he opened, and he went out of business. The defendant's claiming all these bogus damages, is refusing to return his security, and he's taking him to court today because what the defendant's trying to do isn't right. They're here in the good name of the law, suing for the $5,000, which is rightfully theirs. This is the defendant, Nader Neshawat. He says the plaintiffs paid him a reduced rent and left behind a broken door and vanity, so he deducted those things from his security. He won't be bullied by the likes of the plaintiffs. The deductions he made are legit, and he thinks the judge will agree. He's accused of taking advantage of renters.
All parties, please use your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiffs rented space in the defendant's gas station for a store, and it didn't work out, and they say that the defendant's screwing them over. But the defendant says the plaintiffs did a lot of damage. It's the case of stop giving me gas.
Thank you, Douglas. Nicholas Sowers?
Correct.
And Jerry Sowers. You're the dad?
Right.
You're suing Nadir Neshawat for $5,000, $2,038 of it, the difference in rent that he kept from your security deposit, and you don't feel that's appropriate. We'll talk about that in a second. And $250 he also kept for damages, and you feel that was wrongfully withheld. The rest of it is for what? You just upped your lawsuit 15 seconds ago. What was that for?
Florida law gives us the opportunity to get 3 times the amount that he withholds if it's illegal.
If it's civil theft, that's what you're talking about.
Correct.
Not security deposit dispute. Okay, but anyway, let's talk. Let me hear what happened. You started is this your first business?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So you opened it up, and who was running the place?
I was running the place day-to-day operations with one employee.
This was a what? What was this? You opened
it was
up
a convenience store with gas, Sunoco branded.
Okay, so you were leasing it from him, and how did it go?
The starting business went well for a short period of time. The problems arose after Hurricane Matthew came and caused severe damage to both the exterior and interior of the building.
Hurricane Matthew happened when?
October
of
2016.
2016. All right, so do you have pictures of the place when the hurricane?
I do have video to show the damages immediately after the hurricane.
May I see that?
Yes, they are on my phone. So the first one is the exterior and the second one is the interior. You can just scroll through to see the idea.
Why is there no phone cover on your phone?
I like to live dangerously.
Do ya? Did you guys have insurance?
Not on the contents.
What did you have insurance on? You had liability? That's not what I'm talking
Correct.
about. Did you have any hurricane insurance?
No.
Ugh. That's the ice machine on its side? Mm-hmm. How long were you closed after the hurricane?
About a half a month, we were virtually unable to do anything. And
right.
Even further than that, the exterior lights, as you can see, were non-existent. So we were closing probably about 6 p.m. due to not having any lights to bring in the customers.
Okay. Were you under a lease at this time?
Correct.
And then you two were negotiating a new lease?
Correct.
Okay, so you had had the lease for only 1 year?
Yes.
But
And then,
after
so the year finished, I guess the year was finishing in December.
Correct.
And so you're negotiating a new lease. Did you ever sign the new lease?
Yes.
Okay, and then you broke the lease?
No, the new lease was a month-to-month
okay.
with stipulations on repairs and such as they weren't done at that time.
Okay, so the first thing that happens is that he keeps part of your security deposit. You had given them a rent abatement.
I gave it to them as a goodwill on my own. I decided. I'm not required to do that, ma'am.
Okay.
For November and December.
And how much of an abatement did you give them?
Half. And I have it in writing in a text.
Let me see the text where you have that in writing. And then January comes.
January comes and we sign an amendment.
And the rent is supposed to be how much?
The rent in the lease was to go back up to $2,994 and 19 cents under the conditions that the repairs would be done.
Correct.
Okay. Now, let me see. That's the document that's month to month? Let me see that document.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, according to you, the repairs were not concluded until when?
I have documentation showing that they were not completed until March
Give him the first
2nd.
one.
What is it that wasn't completed until March?
The lights. We couldn't even operate. You wouldn't pull in as a lady to the gas station because it was so dark.
And also the price sign for the gas, so we had no way to
There's
advertise.
so much I want to say right now, but I'm going to not say it. This is the addendum. Rent. The amount of rent will be temporarily reduced for the entire year of 2017 to assist. The monthly rent starting January 1st will be $2,400. Repairs. A certain company is under contract to complete all the works to include LED lighting on canopy and building front. The owners promised to start the 3rd of January and finish by the 10th of January. Now, that's what didn't happen.
None of that.
What happened instead is that it happens in March.
Correct.
And why did it take longer? Just that's how contractors are?
They have about 400 customers to come to, and they did the emergency thing, they did the roof, they did the lights, they did the
Right,
structure.
they did the parts that,
And-
that would cause further damage first and lighting.
And a $40,000 repair I got from the insurance, thank God, minus my deductible. This guy is not good enough for him. He wants it done right away. And
We can't do business
he
without it
doesn't.
being
He's
done.
not even entitled for the money discount. I gave it to him.
So you end up exercising your option to give the 30-day notice. What date or time do you do that?
We put in the 30-day notice the end of June, early July, so that we could move out at the end of July.
So you give it a go until July, and then in January, you pay how much in rent?
In January and February, we paid the $1,975 as was agreed because the repairs were not done. He accepted them and never made
Well,
a
accepted
case.
under protest. Can I see the text? Whose phone is this?
Yes,
This
ma'am,
one's
right
yours?
That was mine.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so on December 30th, you text him, there's a couple things I'd like to clarify before signing. A clarification that January will remain $1,975 as the canopy won't be repaired till partway through and we have to try to make up that downtime. And that's from you to him.
Correct.
Why are you laughing?
Because it states right there.
No, it just says January. And would you like to hear the answer?
Sure.
Okay, the answer. As for January rent, that can't be reduced. As you know, I extended half rents for 2 months already for something that was not my fault. Then Nick says to you, okay, but I'm going to need time for the rent. So you tell him, okay, but I'm going to need time for the rent.
Ma'am, the gentleman on the left, his name is Jerry, biggest bully in town. I've been involved in that in the business. I know that my customers, I'm good to the people. And I'll tell you how good I was to his son. I was good to him as my son. I reduced the rent in the first place, the first day. I reduced it $200. Then I reduced it half rent when you have the Irma. Then at the starting 1 January, it's reduced by $400.
So, and you are what you withheld from the security deposit was January and February?
$1,020 each one, yes,
The
ma'am.
difference
Yes, ma'am.
each time.
Then the cleaning up of the place, they left like a mess, like a pig pen, ma'am. Look how they leave my office. This is inside the office of the meat. I
Your
still
Honor,
haven't
he is-
cleaned
You need to
this
stop
office.
interrupting.
But he's doing a speech.
You need to stop interrupting. That was very clear. That instruction should be very clear.
But I could
All right,
use-
this is what? This
I
is
could
the
use some
office?
water. Yes, the office, ma'am. That's where you store your cigarettes, where you put your cash registers, other extra stuff, supplies. And the other one is over the cashier.
And what's this?
This is the backyard, ma'am.
But what is that?
Some of the shelves he took from the inside, put it outside, ma'am.
This debris is from what?
I'd like to see the picture so I can
Yes.
answer the question correctly.
Because you had said in the answer to the complaint that if there was any debris, it was from his workers. But his workers were off of there in March, and this is in July, so. Okay.
So these ones was roofing equipment that was supposed to be taken away by the roofers.
Okay. So what you're saying, what's this? How is this roofing equipment? That's wood.
That's all things from, like I said, the roofers and the fencing.
Okay. And is this, in fact, roofing material?
No, ma'am, this is, when they did the roof up there, it looks like they dumped everything in there and he kept it in there instead of putting it in the trash.
Well, why didn't your roofers do that? That's what you paid them for.
Ma'am, but he is responsible by lease for all the maintenance on site, all of it.
He would never have done to his son what he did to Nick.
What did he do?
He didn't do any of the repairs within the time frame and
Right,
continually.
but can I just ask you a question? I'm from Miami. I know how long repairs take after a hurricane because you're not the only guy who has a problem, right?
I agree.
What he immediately made a claim on his insurance. He immediately forwarded the money from that claim to contractors, and the contractors took a little longer. What horrible thing did he do to your son?
Okay, are landlords generally responsible? Okay, how old are you?
13.
So you have basically no knowledge of this, which is why I want your opinion.
No, I have no idea.
Okay, well, that's what I thought. What do you say?
Generally speaking, yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
Everybody agree with that? Landlord's responsible.
No.
Why?
I don't agree with that. They take money that, honestly, sometimes.
So you think they try to get over on tenants?
Exactly.
Okay, well, we'll find out. Like your opinion, though. Going inside the courtroom.
I do have the addendum that I sent him stipulating what we requested, along with confirmation from him that the...
Show me what you've got.
Here he stated that during our verbal conversation about that, he states there that the January's rent was agreed to.
As for the rent for January, we agreed on the terms and does not need to be in this addendum. So you're saying that that is a reflection of agreeing for January.
Correct.
So what did you mean in this email on December 30th? As for the rent for January, we agreed on the terms and it doesn't need to be in the addendum. He says that what that means is that you agreed that at least for the month of January, you would continue the reduced rent. If it doesn't mean that, what did this mean? Give him
Can I
this
see it,
email.
ma'am? I don't know what I
Read
said.
it out loud and tell me what you meant.
What is it? It means that we already discussed this. We've been there. I cannot reduce it. That's what it means.
I have to decipher what the phrase "no need to put in the addendum" would mean. When you say, oh, it's all right, we don't have to put it in there, I already told you what we're going to do. That seems to be indicating a concession for the month of January. However, February, I realize that your lights weren't up, but I also do not see an intention, like you keep insisting on his part, that you not pay full rent until the repair is finally done. That's not the addendum you signed. So I am going to allow him to keep the 1019 for February, and you do have a responsibility under the lease to maintain and not to leave it in that condition. So I am going to allow him to keep $250 for the cleanup. And I'm going to order him to return to you the additional $1,019. This is not a treble damages case. That's for civil theft. That's my verdict for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,019.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What a nasty man.
So the plaintiff is going to get just over $1,000. Mr. Neshawat, what do you think about the outcome of the case?
I really don't think they deserve anything. I think they they messed up the place.
Well, it's a
But-
very complicated issue. You
It is,
tried.
and she did the best, and she did the
yes.
best in trying to accommodate both of us. So
Yes.
I appreciate that. I'm glad it's over and behind me. That's the main thing.
Okay, good enough. Thank you very much, sir. You must sign some few documents. Now, Mr. Sowers is on the way out of the courtroom. I know your father was not too pleased when he heard the judgment. What'd you think?
Well, it's completely wrong. She caught him directly in the lie that made the whole case. She said it straight up, that she saw and heard what he said, and she interpreted it correctly, but only 1 month. It's not
look,
right.
the judge makes her decision based on what she reads and what she
He took
hears.
advantage
And I
of
know
a young man.
you disagree. Of course, you're called the big bully here. You know that. I mean, he thinks if you were away from your dad, you'd have been much easier to work with
Under
you.
all these agreements we made, my dad was not part of the decision, so I feel like he directly lied to me, and to say that he treated me as a son
Yeah.
is just despicable.
case,
It's
not the case.
to lie to your son is disgusting, and everything in signing, guys, everything in paper.
Thank you very much. You've learned a valuable lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very good advice. What do you think, Harvey?
Okay, Doug, I mean, look, the plaintiffs have an unrealistic view of how quickly property has to be repaired after a disaster. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.